A new Fox News poll has Joe Biden leading the race for president by 8 points. The Democratic candidate has 49% of the vote, while President Trump has 41%. More than half of respondents say they're not happy with how President Trump is handling the pandemic. The race has narrowed since June, when the former vice president was up by 12 points. Now, here with us this morning to talk more about this and other political matters, we are joined by Republican strategist Jackie Bally and Democratic strategist Dallas Jones. Good morning to you both. Now, we're going to start right now with Jackie. You know, in regards to that Fox News poll, what does that mean for Republicans and the Trump administration going into the November election?
Means that they have to keep fighting and keep narrowing that lead. We saw a Fox News poll this time exactly in 2016 that showed that the president was behind Hillary Clinton by 10 points. We have over 100 days left until election. Lots will happen, and you will continue to see that lead narrow. As one of the best things that could actually happen is to actually get Joe Biden out of the basement and in a debate.
Now, Dallas, is this poll good news for the Democrats and Joe Biden going into the election? I don't know whether you heard me that time. Is this poll good news for Democrats and Joe Biden going into the election, Dallas?
It's great news. It's great news for the American people. I think there's not much to be said. The numbers are very clear. There is an ABC News and Washington Post poll that shows the president, the vice president, former vice president, leading by 15 points. I expected, Jackie, for you to say that. We were debating this same topic years ago. And unfortunately, on election day, we had to look at you take a victory lap as the polls were wrong. I don't think that's the case this time. I think there's a lot going on in the world. I think the country is uneasy. Joe Biden is leading in suburban America by record numbers. The recent polls show. And so he's leading in every key battleground state that he needs to lead in. There's even polls that show him leading here in Texas. So at the end of the day, Joe Biden is running a very smart strategy, which is to allow Donald Trump to be Donald Trump, which is actually what's shaping these poll numbers. I mean, Joe Biden had one campaign event over the last week. Donald Trump did enough in that week to continue to watch his polls plummet. And if that continues to happen, I think we're going to see this president lose this election in November, and I think we'll all be the better for it.
Jackie, another big contest that we'll be dealing with is the Senate race between Republican John Cornyn and Democratic candidate M.J. Hagar. Is there as much hype around this particular race as there was with Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke?
No, because John Cornyn is a different type of candidate and he's a different type of senator. He's more of a centrist. You saw the DNC machine really put a lot of money into Hagar because they're hoping the fact that she's a woman, she was tied to the Republican Party years ago, that she could maybe bring over some independents or moderates. But what they don't realize is that John Cornyn is pretty strong with moderates and independents. So it's going to be quite a different race, and you're not going to see a lot of the angst that you saw a couple of years ago.
Now, Dallas, Hagar is vastly outfunded, with John Cornyn raising $14.5 million and Hagar reportedly raising just $1.6 million, according to the Texas Tribune earlier this month. What does this mean for her campaign and this particular contest?
Well, I do agree with a lot of what Jackie said. This contest is just getting started, with the runoff actually for the Democratic primary just passing. Now, what you're mentioning the 1.6 million, but in total, Hagar probably brought in about $6 million of internal and external help. And so the DNC has really put their thumb on this particular race and really targeted it to put money into MJ Hagar. And so I agree that John Cornyn is a much different candidate than Ted Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was just someone that people didn't like. And I think there are certainly folks in Texas that have take issue with John Cornyn, but I think it's going to be a much different narrative. And so I think what's ahead of our party is having to really frame that narrative in terms of why John Cornyn should be replaced in the U.S. Senate. And I think MJ Hegar is going to have to bring it to him. But I think that the Democratic Party is prepared to put that money behind her that she's going to take to be competitive. Nowhere near dollar for dollar, but be competitive.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a very interesting race. Thank you both for joining us this morning. And pardon me. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Dallas, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jose.